Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Emily and today I have for you a nice hip opening yoga sequence. So this is great if you're really tight in the hips today, or maybe you're working on your mobility and flexibility in your hip space. This video will hopefully do the trick for you today. So when you're ready, come down to sit with me on your mat and we'll begin with just some nice simple neck circles. So we'll begin by bringing the right ear to the right shoulder, circling the head down, round to the left shoulder, and just continuing in our anti-clockwise direction. Just beginning by warming up the body, circling the head the other way. One more circle. And then coming back to our center, then we can just circle out the shoulders one way. And then circling the shoulders the opposite direction. Again, just warming up the body a bit here. Great. Then finding our way into our tabletop position. So we are on all four. And we'll begin with a nice core warmer. So on our inhale, we'll extend the right arm and the left leg, coming into our balancing tabletop. We're flexing the back toes down to the mat. We're reaching through the fingertips of the right hand, and the belly and ribs are pulling in, so we have a nice flat back. We're not dipping or rounding in that back. Pull the belly in, so we have a nice straight line from heel to finger. Deep breaths. One more breath. Exhaling, bringing that hand and knee down. Inhale, extending the left arm and the right leg. Again, we're reaching through the back of the heel, extending through those fingertips. Belly and ribs pulling in, that core is nice and strong. One more breath. Exhale, we can gently bring that hand and knee down. Great. Warming up the spine with a few rounds of cat-cows. On our inhale, from the sacrum, draw the belly down, lift the chest and chin up. Exhale, pull the belly in, round the spine and bring the chin to the chest. Inhale, waving up vertebrae by vertebrae. Exhaling, rounding. Inhale, lifting. Exhaling, rounding. One more time. Inhale, waving up. Exhaling, round. Inhale. Come back to your neutral tabletop position. Then just walking the hands forwards one pace, we can tuck the toes under, lift the hips up to our first downward facing dog. And we'll just take a moment to paddle out the feet here. Nice full body stretch. We can be soft in those elbows. And the shoulders gently pull down the back away from the ears. One more breath. On our inhale, look between the hands. We can slowly walk the feet towards the hands. We can generously bend those knees and let the arms and head hang here. On our next inhale, we'll roll up the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, coming all the way up to standing. Great. And we'll move through a couple rounds of sun salutations just to continue warming up. So standing at the top of our mat with our toes together, we can stand nice and tall in our Tadasana. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhaling, hinging from the hips, we'll dive forwards into a forward fold, generous bend in the knees. Inhale, lengthen to a half lift, either fingertips to the mat, shins or thighs, so we have a nice flat back. Exhale, planting the palms into the mat, step it back to your plank and move through either knees, chest and chin or chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. And we'll stay here for a few breaths so we can paddle out the feet again. One more breath. On our next inhale, look between the hands. We can walk, step or jump the feet between, coming back to our half lift. Exhaling, folding forwards, belly to thighs. Inhale, taking the arms out and up, coming all the way back up to standing. Exhale, hands come down in prayer. Beautiful, one more round. Take a breath in, inhale. Exhale, release the hands down. Inhale, out and up. Exhaling, forward fold, belly to thighs. Inhale, lengthen to your half lift. Exhaling, planting the palms into the mat, step it back to your plank and knees, chest and chin or chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhaling, taking it back to your downward facing dog. And again, paddling out the feet, stretching out your legs. One more breath. On our next inhale, look in between the hands. Walk, step or jump the feet between, coming back to our half lift. Nice, flat back. Exhaling, folding forwards, belly to thighs. Inhale, taking the arms back out and up, coming all the way back up to standing. Exhaling, hands come down in prayer. Great. Hopefully we're feeling a bit warmer in the body now. Those joints and muscles are feeling a bit more open. So we'll bring ourselves sideways on our mats with a nice wide stance, a little wider than hip width apart. We'll have the heels in and the toes pointing out towards the corner of our mats. As we inhale, bend into the knees, sink the hips down, coming into our goddess pose. And nice deep breaths here. Sorry. And if we're a bit tight in that hip space today, we can add some movement so we can gently sway from side to side just to help open up that hip space. Maybe some gentle little bobs up and down just to help open up those hips. Nice deep breaths. The belly and ribs are pulling in. Strong legs. One more breath. Exhale, we can gently come back to stand. We'll then turn those toes in to the long side of the mat and the heels turn out a little. Bringing the hands to the hips. Inhale, stand nice and tall. Exhaling, hinging from the hips, we'll fold forwards into a wide forward fold. And we can bring those hands down to rest on the mat. Maybe we rest the hands on the ankles or the shins if we can't quite bring the hands all the way down. And we'll draw the crown of the head down towards your mat. Lengthening through the back of the neck, the chin tucks in. Keep the shoulders gently pulling away from the ears. One more breath. On our next inhale, we'll bring the hands back to the hips. Exhale, come all the way back up to standing. Then we can just shimmy those feet in a little so that we come ever so slightly wider than hip width apart. And we'll find our way into our Yogi Squat or Malasana, or maybe even Garland Pose. So we can have the hands together in prayer as we exhale, bending into the knees, sinking those hips down, coming into our Yogi Squat, and just taking your time to find your way in here. Can be a deep stretch in those hips. Great. So the backs of the arms are in contact with the knees, and we're gently pressing those knees out. We're drawing that sit bone down, and we're squeezing the toes into the mat. If we can't sit comfortably like this, we can always grab hold of our trusty little blocks and just place underneath the sit bone there so that we come to sit nice and comfortably in our squat. Again, just finding a resting point for you. Deep breaths, deep stretch. One more breath. On our exhale, we can reach the hands forwards and find our way into a downward facing dog. We can take a moment to paddle out the feet here. Release that asana from your legs. One more breath. On our inhale, we'll lift up the left foot and step it between the hands, gently dropping the back knee down and untucking those toes. We can keep grounding down through that right palm. Inhale, sweep the left arm up and over, bending that right knee and reaching for the foot. Maybe we hold on to the outside of that right foot. Maybe we hold on to the toes. Maybe we can hold on to that ankle. And nice deep breaths, nice stretch in that right quad. We can always use the strap here to hook around the ankle if we can't quite reach the foot. And we can always place some padding underneath that right knee if we have any pain or discomfort. Whew, deep breaths, feeling that stretch. One more breath. Exhaling slowly with control, lengthening that foot back down to the mat. We can untuck those toes. On our inhale, take the hips back and lengthen through the front leg, coming into our half split. And we're flexing those toes up towards the tip of the nose. And nice deep breaths. We can always have a soft bend in that left knee. And we can always grab hold of our blocks again. If having the hands to the floor is a bit much for us today, we can always lengthen through the spine a bit more to deepen that stretch. Beautiful. Deep breaths. One more breath. Exhaling, sinking into that front foot, framing that foot with the palms. Then just sliding that foot out to the right side, we'll bring the left knee to the left wrist and sliding that right leg back as far as the body allows, coming into our pigeon pose. If the hips are hovering in the air, we can grab hold of our block again just to place underneath that left sit bone, again for some support if we need today. And we can ground down through those fingertips. Maybe we come onto the palms. Just finding a nice, comfortable resting position here for you. Keep pulling the belly and ribs in. The core is engaged here. One more breath. Exhaling, we'll tuck the back toes under, lift that back knee and step it back to your downward facing dog, or finding your own way back to your downward facing dog. And take a moment here to paddle out the feet, releasing the asana from your legs. And then we'll do the same on the right. So inhale, lift up the right foot, stepping it between the hands and gently dropping that back knee down, untucking those toes. Grounding down through the left palm this time. Inhale, we'll windmill that right arm up and over, bending that back knee and reaching for the foot. Again, we can grab hold of our strap here. Nice deep breaths, flexing that right foot, left foot, sorry. One more breath. Exhaling slowly with control, lowering that left foot back down to the mat. We can windmill that right hand back to the top of our mats. On our inhale, we'll lengthen through that front leg, coming back to our half split. Just checking we still have that hip in line with the knee. We may need to just adjust ourselves a little. We can grab hold of our blocks again to place underneath the hands if we need some support today. Otherwise, keep flexing those toes up to the tip of your nose and have a soft little micro bend in that knee. One more breath. Exhaling, sinking back into that front foot. We'll then slide that right foot out to the left side. The right knee comes to the right wrist and sliding that left leg back, coming into our pigeon pose. Again, we can grab hold of our block to place underneath the right sit bone if we need. And just finding your comfortable resting position here. Belly and ribs pulling in, the core is engaged. Nice deep breaths, enjoying your stretch here. One more breath. On your next inhale, planting those palms into the mat, tucking the back toes under, lifting that back knee and stepping it to our downward facing dog. And again, we'll paddle out the feet, stretch out your legs. Then on our next exhale, gently bend the knees and bring them back down to the mat, untucking those toes, and we'll take it back to a child's pose. We can have the knees out wide and the arms lengthened in front. And just resting here in our child's pose for a few breaths. Maybe closing the eyes and connecting with your breath here. One more breath. On our next inhale, we'll bring the fingertips underneath the shoulders and just gently press into them so we come to sit up on the heels. We can then just bring the hips to one side and both the legs round in front. And we'll do some seated stretches. If we feel like we're collapsing or falling back when we're sat like this, we can grab hold of our blocks just to place underneath the sit bones. And by doing so, just elevates those hips so we can fold forwards a lot easier. It kind of eliminates that leaning back. Otherwise, we're grounding down through both the sit bones. We'll bend the left knee and bring the sole of the foot to the inner right thigh. The heel tucks into the pelvis. Exhale, folding forwards, reaching for that right foot. We can always hold on to the ankle or the shin. And gently dropping the head down towards the knee for your head to knee pose. One more breath. Inhaling, we can lift the head. Exhale, we can gently release. Lengthen that left leg down to the mat. Bending that right knee and bringing the sole of the foot to the inner left thigh. The heel tucks into the pelvis. And again, exhale, fold forwards, reaching for the foot. Gently dropping the head down towards the knee. Gently pulling the shoulders down the back away from the ears. On our next inhale, we can lift the head. Exhaling, we can gently release. Then lengthening both the legs down to the mat. I'm just going to swivel myself around so you guys can see. We'll take the legs out wide. And they don't have to be that wide at all. Just comfortably wide enough so that we're not overstretching, basically. And on our exhale, we'll just walk the hands forwards, folding it forwards, leaning into our wide forward fold. And we don't have to fold that far here. Don't worry about bringing the arms or the head down to the ground. We can stay propped up on our block to help with the folding from the hips here. And relax the shoulders down the back. We're not hunched up to the ears. Relax those shoulders down. Nice deep breaths. Feeling that stretch in the insides of those legs. We can always hold on to the feet or the ankles if that feels nice here. One more breath. On our next exhale, we can gently walk those hands back in to our center. Bending both of the knees, we'll draw the soles of the feet together, coming into our bound angle pose or Baddha Kapotanasana. We can bring those heels in towards the pelvis again and holding on to the toes with the hands. We can inhale, sit nice and tall through the spine. Exhale, tuck the chin in and roll down your spine vertebrae by vertebrae, folding forwards and drawing the crown of your head down towards the mat. Relaxing the shoulders down away from the ears again. Chin tucks into the chest, the back of the neck is long. relaxing into this asana here. One more breath. On our next inhale, slowly rolling back up the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, coming to sit back nice and tall. We can then use the hands to gently guide the knees back together here. And again, we'll take the feet out slightly wider than hip width apart. The knees kind of come out to the side a little here. And we can just gently bring those hands behind so that we can almost leisurely lean back. And just to close off those hips, we'll gently windmill or wind wipe the knees from side to side. Just nice and gently with control, taking the knees side to side. Just a couple more times each side. Last ones. Great. And then we can bend those knees. We can find our way back to seating comfortably. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that was everything that you needed today for your hips. If so, please like the video and save for later. Leave me a little comment in the comments below, and please subscribe to my channel for more free yoga content. I'll see you next time. Thanks again. Namaste.